landlords have left their properties for overseas. They have, in essence, in substance, abandoned their properties and they're living overseas. So we call them absentee landlords. The problem is, these properties that have been left abandoned are left to the mercies of animals, to the mercies of overgrowths, undergrowths, tall grass, overhanging trees. They're left to the mercies of social rejects, and they can be used as seclusion zones for criminal elements. Almost in every community in the city, you have derelict buildings, which are used by people who are of suspicious character, and we get complaints all the time. And you have lands that are left unfenced, lands that are left and anybody can go on them. Some people call to complain. People are lighting fires on some of those lands. People are cooking on some of those lands. People are actually living on some of those lands. And these things are happening right in our local communities, and I can point out a number of those areas. You have them in South Rhine Veld, you have them in North Rhine Veld, you have them in East Rhine Veld, you have them in West Rhine Veld. You have it happening in places like Bishad Nagar and Bel Air and all these places where people have just, North and South Commingsburg, where they have just left their buildings and they're gone. People use those areas as dumping grounds. So they throw all the garbage there. Go see what is happening just over the road. Just opposite our court over here. See how they're using that as a dumping ground. If you go over by the small courts, just opposite this high court, just look over where we have that abandoned land, where we had that building that was burnt out by fire. You will see what they're doing there. And wherever we have a situation where you have an abandoned land, where you have derelict buildings, people are using it to do things that are hurting the city, things that are presenting a bad image of the city and giving the city a bad reputation. I want to ask community leaders today to talk to people, to talk to neighbors, to find out what is happening with some of these lands. We'll be happy to receive reports from you. We'll be happy to act on some of the things, the reports you bring to us. The problem with us is that you know some of these people because you're living in the community for years. Some of these people we don't know, some of these people we can't find. And so those lands are left there. And what is happening now is that we have to expend money to clean up these lands. We're attaching it to the taxes, but nobody's paying because obviously nobody's around. And we will have to move to a position, we will have to take these properties to court and see if we can sell them off. Because we could not have the city in this state. And we are providing seclusion zones for people to carry out all kinds of negative activities. We must not contribute to that. So this is the other problem that we're facing. That when you look in local communities, you have abandoned properties, derelict buildings and so on. And also you have derelict vehicles. Some people just park derelict vehicles in front of you, next to you, over the road by you, and they just leave them. I mean, where is the neighborliness in the city now? Years ago, you had people looking out for each other. That's not happening anymore in certain communities. And so, tomorrow you wake up, and appearing in front of your place is a derelict building, a derelict vehicle. You don't know who dropped it there, but while you were sleeping, somebody decided they were going to put it there. And then you have the devil's own job trying to get it removed from in front of you. And it is happening all over the city. We have to bring these activities to an end. And the only way we can do it successfully is if we partner together to make this thing happen. And this is why we've called you today, so that we can have a conversation, so that we can hear from you, you can hear from us, how we need to go forward in developing our communities, improving our communities, making our communities better, making our communities safe. I'm going to ask the Director of Solid Waste, to speak to us about, particularly about solid waste, for him to tell us what is happening in our communities about solid waste, what you can do with garbage to assist, how much we are spending in various communities, if we can get that breakdown today, because we really on this thing of solid waste now, we really on this thing of property rates, and then we're going to move on in the meeting. So I'm going to ask Mr. Narayan to talk to us about what is happening with garbage, because this is a really serious problem in our communities. As much as we're cleaning up, our problem is not cleaning up the city. Our problem is keeping the city clean. This is our problem. Narayan, can you talk to community leaders about the